Hi everybody, great to be back with you again as God is calling us beyond, and I'm just thrilled with what the Lord is doing, some of the things that I'm learning, and I hope that you're learning as well. And if you've been a part of this series so far, you know that we've been talking about God's calling us beyond, first in our experience of His love, then obviously in our prayer commitments, and then this last weekend we talked about how God is calling us beyond our walls and extending and expanding our service in the community. And we had a really great time studying through Paul's teaching in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, seeing again how our daily choices are supposed to add credibility to the gospel as we communicate it in our words and our attitudes, but especially in our actions. And we spoke about how we actually went about doing that, if you remember back, by the stretching of our faith. Obviously a big part of that in our service and our love and our care for others gives credibility to the gospel by living in peace with people. We made special application here obviously to the upcoming elections and how we're to be peaceful people and at rest because we know God is in control. We're to keep fulfilling our obligations and being people of responsibility. These are the things that the people who don't yet believe in Jesus look at. And if we continue to provide for our own, all of these things are going to give credence and credibility to it. We want to gain the respect of people who don't yet know the Lord, then we're going to have to live godly lives out in front of them. And I didn't have time to go into this one illustration that I had, interestingly, the last time I was playing golf a few months back. I was out with some friends and a fourth person joined us that the three of us had never met before. And in the conversation, I was asked what I do. And when I told him I was a pastor, he started talking to me about his spiritual journey, especially his relationship with a neighbor and the things that he had learned both positively and negatively from this neighbor. And sadly, there was more negative than good. And as he began to talk about the man's attitudes and about the man's insensitivities and all the different ways that he went about living his life, I began to realize I knew who he was talking about. And I had a little bit of a struggle because I wasn't sure whether I should say, "Are you talking about?" Well, I ended up doing that, and when he knew that I knew him, boy, it really changed the conversation quickly and the whole tone of it. But we went on to have a pretty significant spiritual conversation about judgment and how we judge others and how we interact. Anyway, I didn't get to this illustration and story, especially to this verse in Colossians chapter 4, verses 5 and 6. Here's what the apostle said: "Conduct yourself with wisdom toward outsiders, making the most of the opportunity." So when God gives us a chance to interact with people who don't yet know Him, we need to be wise in the way that we act and the way that we speak and to make most of that opportunity. Verse 6, "Let your speech always be with grace, seasoned as it were with salt, so that you will know how you should respond to each person." So we need to have this awareness as we're out and about in the community as to how we influence people in our speech, in our attitudes, but especially in the way that we live. Now, I don't know whether you've had opportunity to interact with people before, maybe good experiences or bad experiences that they've had with other believers. But you have some questions in front of you there now and can continue to hold each other accountable and be transparent about how you're doing out in the community and service and in fulfilling your obligations. But we want to reaffirm once again that the way that we live is going to profoundly impact the impression that other people have about the Lord Jesus Christ. So I'm thrilled that you're continuing to champion this biblical value of connecting, and I just want to encourage you. Stay together, keep praying, and let's watch what God does as He takes us beyond our walls. Blessings on you. Look forward to being back with you, Lord willing, next week.